So you might have seen those signs at campgrounds or at fire stations or at visitor centers. They have the arrow and that symbol that tells you what the fire danger is for that day. That's not a guess. In fact, it's far from it. There's an amazing amount that goes into this. And this is the guy who knows about it joining me right now. Tom Bird is a senior forecaster and also something called an incident meteorologist.
That's
we'll
right.
get to that in a second. But Tom, we're really curious, how do you figure out what the fire rating should be for a day?
Hey Matt, nice to be here. And well, the first thing is, like you said, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And it's really important to know what the fire danger rating system basically is. It's a really effective method to let all the land management agencies and the general public know just how likely new fires are, how fast they get big, and how intense they'd be. So we need to know two things, really. We need a good handle on two things. One is the state of the vegetation. How dry are the trees and the bushes and the grasses out there? The second thing we need to know is about the weather. So at 1 o'clock every afternoon, all across the country, there's remote automated weather stations all across the forest that send observations into this system. Those observations go to the National Weather Service offices, and meteorologists there send a forecast back into the system. That system churns on all that information and spits out the maps that we see as the National Fire Danger Rating for the next day.
Okay. I'll admit I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to science when I was in school because I couldn't really make the connection to the real world. That was pretty stupid of me because there's an obvious connection. How do you sort of figure out what to put into that rating as you're gathering all this information from those remote weather stations?
Well, you're right. This is not a guess. There's a lot of science, a very long history of science. In fact, this National Fire Danger Rating System was kind of developed in the 1960s and implemented in the 70s. So we're looking at almost 50 years of tweaking this into what it is today and making it as accurate as it can be. So we're talking a lot of mathematical equations. Nick just talked about firefighters need to know math. Almost everybody needs to know math. So those STEM classes that the kids all know about, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, really important. So you got the math, the physics, then you got the computer. All that works together to spit out this fire danger rating that we use every day.
And the more that you tell me about your job, the more exciting it sounds. Once you get that rating established, how do you put that into use?
Well, it depends on what that rating comes back, and it's not the same all across the country. There'll be hot spots, so to speak, where fire danger is very high, and there'll be other places where it's low. If it's low, maybe no action is necessary because we just don't expect fires to begin in those areas. But where it's high, very high and extreme, well, now things have to be done to try to protect the forest from burning. So fire staff officers will start increasing their staffing. They'll move them to locations close to where they think the fires will be so they can get on that fire quick before it gets bad. The prevention officers and the PIOs will start telling the public, hey, be very careful out in the forest today. So that's some of the things that happen. And then if the weather's really bad, the Weather Service will put out red flag warnings to let everybody know that we've got critical conditions today.
So there's a lot of work that you're doing, and then a lot of work goes into telling people about it and making sure that everybody knows.
Oh, right. It's all about communicating the impacts and the potential that's out there for catastrophic fire.